Hi, my name is Sophia. It's good to be here with you. This story will be in two parts. Um, the first part is going to end with a bit of a cliffhanger, but don't be discouraged. I'm still a musician and still writing my story, and um, I'm feeling a lot of hope for my future. So, um, in a week or so, when I come out with part two, um, I think that it will um, have a brighter forward trajectory. So don't worry. Uh, I'll just go ahead and get started. Here we go. When I was a child, my parents started me in piano lessons, except I didn't have the discipline to practice. I remember one of my first teachers putting a song I wrote onto musical paper. I called it The Alligator. That was really exciting for me, and that is my only memory from that time. Well, that and the building I remember walking through to get to the music lesson room. It was an Air Force rec building with a couple pool tables and a TV where you could play the Wii. My only memory with that lovely teacher and her curly hair is when she put my music onto paper. Then I remember Mrs. Tess. Gosh, I loved her, and her cursive handwriting enchanted me. She read a lot of books. With Mrs. Tess, I had a problem start happening where I would bang the sides of my hands against the edge of the piano keys when I was frustrated with my practice. For the first time in my life, I recognized that it was a tic. I had another tic where I would bash my knees together when I was frustrated with myself. And I didn't like the feeling of my thighs touching each other. Anytime they would brush against each other without my approval, I would bash my knees together again to relieve the distress it caused me. I was a child with autism. In 5th grade, I began playing the flute, a joyous time for me. In middle school, I excelled in band and choir. I was selected for the all-state audition groups, and my choir teacher, who I loved dearly, thank you, Mrs. Treadway. My choir teacher saw that I have really strong pitch. I got to sing the starting note one time when we sang the national anthem at a baseball game. That was an awesome experience that encouraged me to grow. Towards the end of my time in middle school, my band director pulled me into his office. I wasn't practicing and he felt I was being difficult. The only thing I remember from that conversation was his stern face and crying with my knees against my chest, feeling completely crushed and misunderstood. During this same chapter, my flute friend got a call during the school day that her father had passed away. We were in the band room. I cannot understand why she received this news when she was at school, but our assistant band director immediately took my friend into her care and held her while she cried. This was my first direct experience with death. I felt a lot of heartbreaking emotions when my assistant band director treated me with disdain, and I could not win kindness from her eyes. In high school, I continued to flourish musically, except my mental health was tanking because I had undiagnosed autism and I was not receiving support. My parents were trying to help me, but they were failing because they didn't have the right tools. The summer before my sophomore year, I was sent to an extended residential program in Texas to get care for my mental health. It didn't help, and my mom pulled me out of the program against medical advice so that I could start my sophomore year of high school. That was the right decision. While I was there, I wrote a letter to staff asking if someone could escort me to the building with a piano so that I could practice for more than 30 minutes a week. They said no, and I was heartbroken and burning with desire for music. I wrote, "What if Beethoven was prevented from playing? I knew it would have caused him to suffer." Returning to my home and friends and marching band was a great joy. I was still getting sicker and starting to have anxiety attacks all throughout the school day. And my anxiety was exacerbated greatly because I wasn't sleeping enough. I was drinking energy drinks and writing music late into the night because it was so painful to lie down and try to go to sleep. I couldn't wake up in the mornings and couldn't get to school on time. There was yelling and shrieking and pulling in my house, and I thought it was all my fault. And the school punished me for tardiness with detention. Everything felt so backwards. Despite the health crisis I was facing, my musical ears grew ravenously. I remember, especially in choir practice, I felt like a mad genius because I could hear all of the wrong notes. I wanted to help and started raising my hand to correct things. And my corrections were not pointless. It's because it felt so good in my body when our music was done well. So divinely good and satisfying and restorative. Spoiler alert, the others will treat you like an alien if you try to correct them. So I started shutting down, unable to use my gifts and experiencing terrible distress. The music would play over and over and over in my head, and every time I would hear it with the wrong notes. I spent enormous amounts of time brainstorming, trying to figure out how to guide rehearsal in a sneaky way with carefully timed suggestions and questions, and I was largely successful. God bless my wonderful, wonderful choir director who recognized my desire and ability to make our music the best it could possibly be. Thank you, Mr. Michael Dye. People told me it was a delusion, but I felt like a personal warrior for the composer of the music, fighting for the notes that they had written. My senior year of high school, I was spending a lot of time in the nurse's office and the bathrooms. My anxiety was out of control, but I was still muscling through, and I had the great privilege of spending 6 hours a day in the music hall. I was in the women's choir, the audition choir, the after-school choir, the wind ensemble, the jazz band, and the marching band. It was a great blessing. I'll save you the details of my anxiety attacks, but they were brutal. Every time I think of the band room, I remember an especially hard day. Then I remember my assistant band director teasing me, calling me, "If you give a mouse a cookie." I had just ordered a missing wire to repair the keyboard pedal with, and repaired it myself because the people in charge were taking too long. "If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask for a glass of milk." It's a children's book and a special nickname just for me. A cruel way to label all of my ambition as too much. I wrote a piece of music for my wind ensemble, but someone I loved and respected changed the order of my music without telling me. In my mind, it ruined the whole piece. Storm, it was called. And we played it for a band concert, but I was so defeated because I wanted my music to be in the order I had set it in, and I wanted to rehearse the band. And I was ready and capable of rehearsing the band, but I wasn't afforded the opportunity. So when I had the great blessing of premiere as a composer in high school, I was bitter and torn, wading through days that were brutally dark, trying to smile at compliments to my music. I hated myself.